So addiction is a chronic disease characterized by drug seeking and that is used compulsive or difficult to control despite harmful consequences. The initial decision to take drugs is voluntary for most people, but repeated drug use can lead to brain changes that can challenge an addicted person's self-control and interfere with the ability to resist intense urges to take drugs. These brain changes can be persistent, which is why drug addiction is considered a relapsing disease. People in recovery, they use this, drug to disorder at the increased risk to returning drugs after years of not taking the drug. Many people do not understand why or how people become addicted to drugs. They may mistakenly making that those who seek drugs use for lack moral principles or willpower, and that they can use drugs to stop simply by choosing to. When in reality, drug addiction is a complex disease, and quitting usually takes more than good intentions or a strong will. Drug changes the brain in ways that make quitting hard even for those who want to quit. As a person continues to use drugs, the brain adapts by reducing the ability of cells and the reward circuit to respond to it. This reduces the high that the person feels compared to the high that they felt when they first took the drug. That effect gets known as tolerance. They may take more drugs to try to achieve the same high, to get it, but sometimes they're not able to achieve that. The brain adaptations, they often lead to the person becoming less and less derived from pleasure from things that they used to enjoy, such as food, sexual intercourse, or social activities. Having drug addictions, it can lead to many long-term effects on the brain and on the body. Some are learning, judgment, decision-making, stress, memory, and behavior, of course. There are many signs, that people are abusing drugs, but the most common signs and symptoms of drug addictions are building up a tolerance to a particular one drug, taking drugs to avoid withdrawal symptoms, and the ability to stop the use of drugs. While each drug of abuse produces different effects, all abuse substances share one in common. They alter the brain chemistry, and that causes long-lasting changes to the brain functioning. Drugs effectively assault the brain by interfering with the user's ability to think clearly, exercise good judgment, and control behavior, and also for them to feel normal. These brain-altering changes are also responsible for the drug cravings and compulsions to use drugs that make the addiction so powerful. There is a huge correlation between substance abuse and violent behavior, and this has been well documented back in time and back now as well. For example, the Journal of Substance Abuse Treatment noted that more than 75% of people who begin treatment for drug addiction report having performed various acts of violence, like mugging, physical assault, using weapons to attack another person. Also, examining gender differences, the Journal of Studies on Alcohol and Drugs found that before seeking treatment for substance abuse, the rate of violence was as high as 72% among men and 50% among women. People enrolling in treatment were referred by family members because of violent behavior carried out under the influence. Furthermore, researchers found that aggressions between two people in a romantic or sexual relationship that was associated with heavy drinking and cocaine use and abusing drugs all over a period of time. Overall, there is a very close relationship between drug abuse and crime. Drug abusers commit crimes to pay for their drugs, and this inflicts damages to society. Many criminals are usually under the influence of drugs while committing crimes. Drug trafficking is one main example. According to a research in the United States in 2010, about 70% of male prisoners were drug abusers. Alcohol has the highest relationship with aggressive crimes. Criminals who usually abuse drugs, they're simultaneously 21.4% a part of aggressive crimes. Overall, I would say there's a direct relationship between the level of drug abuse and the type of drug and committed to the crimes. With increased drug abuse, delinquency rate and its intensity increase, addicts are forced to commit crimes to acquire drugs. Addicts, they are not usually hired to, sell these drugs, so as a result, they don't have the income to fulfill their needs. That's why they return to illegal activities such as smuggling, drug dealing, theft, and also prostitution. Thus, the cycle of poverty, addiction, and crime is repeated. The necessity of developing preventive strategies is now needed more ever than before.